All right, today we're tackling an idea so big, it didn't just tweak a few theories, it completely redrew the map for how we think about a country's wealth. We're talking about a totally new kind of capital, and trust me, it changed everything. Let's dive in. So, let me ask you something. If you had to build a successful country from the ground up, what's the most important thing? Like, what's your number one most valuable asset? The one thing you absolutely couldn't do without? For ages, the answer felt pretty simple, right? It had to be the big stuff, the physical things. The factories, the machines, all the infrastructure you can actually see and touch, the engines of industry. Or maybe it's what's in the ground, a country's natural resources. The oil, the land, the forests. That raw stuff has to be the bedrock of wealth, doesn't it? But what if both of those answers are kind of missing the point? What if the most powerful asset isn't something you can mine or manufacture, but something you have to nurture? What if it's us, the people? Okay, to really get why this was such a mind-blowing idea, we've got to rewind a bit. We need to look at how things worked before this concept came along. Let's check out that old, flawed blueprint. So for a huge chunk of the 20th century, economists had this, really simple recipe for growth. You take your physical stuff, factories, machines, and you just add labor. But here's the crazy part. Labor wasn't seen as, people with skills and ideas. Nope, it was just this generic, faceless input. You could swap people in and out like they were tons of steel or barrels of oil. Wild, right? But one guy looked at all this and thought, no way, that's not right. And his big aha moment didn't happen in some fancy university office. It came from the dirt and dust of the American farm. This is Theodore Schultz, and let me tell you, he was not your typical tweed jacket academic. He was born on a farm in South Dakota. He actually had to skip high school because of labor shortages during World War I. So he lived the hard economic choices that farm families had to make every single day. And that experience was everything. It showed him that farmers weren't backwards or stuck in their ways, not at all. They were incredibly smart and rational. And this quote right here, it's pure Schultz. It really gets to the core of what he believed. He saw that these farmers, the ones everyone else was writing off, were actually these amazing entrepreneurs. They were constantly tweaking things, fine-tuning their businesses. To him, they weren't just some interchangeable labor input. No, they were thinkers. They were innovators. And all of this led him to his big idea, the one that changed everything: human capital. His argument was pretty simple, but profound. The knowledge you have, the skills you've learned, even how healthy you are, that's not just personal stuff. It's a type of capital. It's a productive asset, every bit as real and valuable as a factory or a new tractor. And you have to understand, this was huge. Human capital wasn't just some catchy new phrase. It was a complete break from the past, what some people call a conceptual rupture. It basically shattered that old, broken view of labor and gave economists a whole new language to talk about growth. Okay, so think about it. If skills and knowledge are a form of capital, well, what do you do with capital? You invest in it. And that one logical step, it changes absolutely everything. All of a sudden, when you look through this new human capital lens, things look totally different. Sending someone to school, that's not just an expense anymore. It's an investment that's going to pay off down the road. Same with job training, or healthcare, or even someone moving to a new city for a better job. These aren't just costs. They're all ways of building up this incredibly valuable stack of human capital. And here's the real kicker. Schultz and his colleagues didn't just talk about this in theory. They went out and measured it. And the numbers they came back with were, frankly, stunning. They found that in the US, the return you get from investing in people, in their education and skills, was higher than the return you'd get from building another factory or buying a new machine. I mean, that's a total game changer. Now, an idea this big doesn't just stay locked up in some dusty academic journal. Oh no, it got out, and it completely redesigned how countries all over the world thought about economic development. See, the old way of thinking about foreign aid and development was all about physical stuff, building big dams, shiny new factories, miles of roads. But Schultz's work sparked a revolution. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. The focus grew to include investing in people, building schools, making sure people were healthy, teaching new skills. The path to a better future wasn't just about handing people tools. It was about making sure they were skilled enough to use them and even invent better ones. And the ripple effect was just massive. This one powerful idea spread out and changed everything it touched. all of a sudden you had a rock-solid economic reason for governments to invest in farming policy, in global development, and especially in education. It basically proved what a lot of people already felt deep down. Investing in your people pays off. Big time. When you think about the giant puzzle of what makes a country prosperous, Theodore Schultz provided a huge, crucial, missing piece. His idea about human capital didn't throw out older ideas about technology or labor. Instead, it showed how they all fit together. It showed that real, lasting growth comes when you have both cool technology and a smart, skilled population that knows what to do with it. And for this incredible shift in thinking, for seeing the hidden entrepreneur and the farmer, and for seeing education as the true engine of an economy, Theodore Schultz was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1979. It was the world's way of saying, yep, this idea is a big deal. So all of this leaves us with a pretty important question for today, doesn't it? Schultz proved, beyond a doubt, that people are a country's most valuable asset. The challenge for all of us now is, are we actually investing in them like they are? And if so, where should we be putting our resources next?